Yo, what's going on everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go discussion video. Alright, so there's a lot of discussions happening right now regarding Pokemon Go's PvP system, and the reason for that is because the #1 player in the world, more specifically the world champion for Pokemon Go, recently came out with a video talking about all the problems with Pokemon Go's PvP system. And even if you do not care about PvP, which I suspect is going to be a huge number of you, this is still very important that we talk about it because when it comes to Pokemon Go's PvP system, it is a core aspect of this game, and there's plenty of players out there who only play Pokemon Go solely for PvP. So yeah, if Pokemon Go's PvP system completely crashes and burns, then I feel like the game itself is going to crash and burn. So I do think that this needs to be a high priority for Niantic to get their act together. Right, so for this video, I'm actually going to be giving my reaction to this video. It was posted by ItsAXN. He is, of course, the world champion for Pokemon Go, and I wanted to give my thoughts regarding all the things he's going to bring up. So yeah, let's get right into it.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is a video that I really didn't want to have to make. I like to have positivity and always try to promote the game, but the game is in such a bad spot.
Yeah, that's basically how I've been feeling with Pokemon Go for the longest time. I want to be positive towards Pokemon Go, but it's really hard to be when Niantic keeps making so many missteps. So that's a sentiment that I, along with a lot of content creators, feel.
Right now, I feel like I have to try to say something here. I know right now there's a lot of issues in the Go Battle League, things that haven't been resolved or even acknowledged for months, if not years at this point, and I think we're reaching a breaking point where GBL really is getting to a very unplayable point where we need to see Niantic step in, acknowledge the problems, and start fixing the game.
Wow, that's very well said. I've been saying that for a long time when it comes to PvP, and Niantic has not really done anything. Like, so many PvPers I know feel this exact sentiment. They feel like Pokemon Go's PvP system has been downgrading continuously, and Niantic has done nothing to fix the issues. I feel like the best solution is just a complete overhaul, because in the current system, it's just next to impossible for them to get a smooth system down. I mean, yeah.
Right now we've been seeing an uptick
sad.
in complete game freezes in GBL. You can probably see in this background footage here just how many of these games
it's awful.
People have submitted to me where they just instantly lose the game because right when you get into the battle, for some reason the game just freezes up, you both get a loss, both you and your opponent, and that's not the only bug, but is one of the worst bugs to have right now in the game, and it hasn't even been acknowledged yet by Niantic.
That's one of the main reasons why I don't PvP. The bugs are just awful. Like, every time I log into the game and play Pokemon Go PvP matches, I feel like I lose so many matches unnecessarily because either because of like server lag or because of some issues where the game will hang. These are some things that Niantic should have fixed years ago, but they continue to persist in the game. Sorry, I'm going to stop pausing.
It's been impacting trainers for months now, and it's not getting any better. We only have 25 battles a day. Having even a single battle out of those 25, be just taken away from us like that, it is terrible. It is one of our only ways to practice this game. If you don't have friends to train with, then it is almost impossible to get better.
Yeah, I really think there needs to be some sort of practice mode. The fact that there is none is such a huge misstep from Niantic. I totally agree with him there. When you know that this is your
only chance you have to play. The 25 game limit is really limiting us, and when we don't even have the chance to play those 25 games, for real, it is so hard to get better, to have fun, and to grow this game. Not to mention Android frame drops. If you guys don't know what this is, Android devices right now have a very high chance every single match to have these horrible frame drops where you might miss bubbles when you're doing charge moves, where you might miss turns when you're just tapping and the screen just suddenly freezes.
It
is not great. It happens a lot. It happens to me a lot on stream in my gameplay that I showcase. And it is such a big problem. I don't know why it hasn't been fixed. I don't know why it hasn't been acknowledged yet. It is not getting any better. It really turns a lot of people off of the game. If you can't use your regular phone to play this game, which is what it's supposed to be, Pokemon Go is supposed to be very accessible to just, pick up, download from the App Store, and start playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating because I have a top-of-the-line Samsung phone, and I have really good connections, and I'll still experience this random hitch. It's the most annoying thing, and I definitely lose a lot of matches because of it, because A charge attack will not be as strong. I'll miss a few bubbles, like he mentioned. It's so frustrating, and I can't believe... I mean, it's been this way for the last 2 seasons. They had so much time to fix these issues, but they just still have not done so.
If you have to buy the top-of-the-line phone if you want to even have a chance to play this game, you know, and you have to buy an Apple phone at that, then it makes it very hard for anyone to take this game seriously. And it's not just Androids that have these kinds of game-breaking problems. There's other issues in the game, too, that affect every device. The one-turn lag
look what's
that
going
might
on
come in when
the
your
screen.
Pokemon faints and you bring in your next Pokemon, that is going to be a huge thing that we need to get fixed before Worlds. If not, there's going to be a lot of games that might be disputed because of this. When that happens, you can't guarantee a CMP at the end of the game. You might be denied a turn, so you...
This is actually a very good point, because Niantic for the longest time have been pushing Pokemon GO's PvP system to be kind of like an esport, but the integrity of the game has to be intact, and the only way you could do that is by fixing a lot of these issues. Like you said, there are going to be a lot of cases where players are going to dispute their matches, they're going to feel like they've been cheated out of some wins, and that's going to be the difference between whether or not they get first place in these tournaments, and there's huge prize pools at stake, so... yeah, this is really bad.
That you're supposed to have is a game-altering bug that absolutely needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed soon. Debuff text as well has been very broken for many months now, and it hasn't been fixed, it hasn't been acknowledged. We need it to be able to be evident when a debuff happens. You just have to hope that you can see the animation now. Sometimes the text appears, but a lot of the time it doesn't. It makes it very hard to know exactly what's happening in the game. When there's a chance to get a debuff on a move like a Zap Cannon, something like that, it needs to be known for sure whether or not you got that debuff or not. It can change how you're going to play the game, and it is very frustrating when you don't know exactly what's happening in the game.
It's so cringy.
My biggest problem with all of this is that these issues have not been acknowledged, or they've been swept under the rug. There is a...
Yeah, this goes back to the whole communication problem. Niantic, at least if they could acknowledge the problems a lot better, like occasionally they'll say like, yeah, we're aware of the issues, we're doing everything we can. No one's gonna believe that. They have to actually point out the issues specifically, and they need to come up with fixes. They need to put their money where their mouth is. They haven't been doing
issues
that.
Page for GBL, but that website is kind of a joke. There's a lot of issues here that I've talked about that are marked either as resolved or not even on that list, so that Niantic doesn't know that they exist, or they're not even actively working on them. It is ridiculous. These issues have been around for months, if not years for some of them, and these issues have not been resolved in the slightest. I don't know why there's a known issues page if they're not going to actually try to fix it, or if they're just going to lie about having the bugs fixed, but it is not conducive to a competitive environment. And speaking of a competitive environment, Worlds is coming up very soon. It's just about a month away at this point, and we have competitors who are going to be traveling around the world to compete at Worlds, spend a lot of money to go there to play your game, Niantic. We need this game fixed. We want this to be a competitive game where we can grow the scene, have more players see that Pokemon Go isn't just a joke. It's always joked about in the competitive scene, right?
Yeah, just think of it this way. Let's say there is a huge bug that prevents you from completing 100% of your raid battles. And imagine that this bug is in the game and Pokemon Go Fest is a month away. How frustrating would it be to go into Pokemon Go Fest knowing that 100% of your raid passes are not going to yield successful raids? Yes, that is true right now for a lot of players. But just imagine it being for every player, or majority of players, and people go into Pokemon Go Fest, they spend, let's say, 50 raid passes, and only 40 of those raid passes will actually yield the results that you need. It would be really bad.
Now
So
we're in the tap
they
game.
do need to fix
All we
this
do is
stuff
tap our phones. We
before
don't even
Worlds.
make any decisions. Well, obviously we know that's not true, but when we don't even have a game that works all the time, it's really hard for us to stand up for ourselves and refute that claim. And the thing is, like, these Play Pokemon events, they're basically everything that Niantic as a company always says they want to encourage. You have to catch Pokemon in the wild, you have to trade with your friends to get legendaries to re-roll into the under 1500 range to be able to get PvP IV legendaries. And you have to
There's
do
already
raids, you have
so
to
many
do every
hoops
part of the game if you want to be a good PvP player. You have to go around the world here to compete at regionals, and then
This is another thing with Pokemon Go's PvP system that I have a problem with. It's so inaccessible for any player. There are so many specific Pokemon with specific conditions that you have to get that for all these issues that happen while you're doing PvP, like, it's just really bad. Honestly, it's really bad.
and battle trainers around the world at the World Championships. It is literally everything Niantic has ever said they want. We travel the world to play this game. We interact with people. We play the entirety of the game here to make it to Worlds, to become the best of the best. And it should be something that Niantic as a company wants to support. Some of these issues we've been talking about are primarily GBL issues. Sometimes in trainer battles, when you're just fighting a friend, they're not quite as bad. But the thing is, even if GBL is going to be the main problem, that is a main source of practice for a lot of us Worlds competitors. It was my main source of practice last year before I won Worlds, and it is going to be my main source of practice again this year. And the fact that GBL does not work consistently, that there's all of these bugs that are going unaddressed, it is going to make it so many people trying to prepare for Worlds are going to struggle a lot more just because the game does not behave as intended. And some of these
Yeah, I totally agree with him. Like, if Niantic is promoting this aspect of exploration, traveling, the competitive aspect, like going out and competing with your friends, practicing with your friends, if the game is not working, then they're failing on that front. It's very important that they get
bugs
these
are not
issues
just
fixed.
GBL exclusives, right? You have the frame drops, you have the one-turn lags. They
Raid
can
battles.
impact
You see it in
PvP in the
raids.
trainer battles as well. This will impact
the trainer
Worlds.
battles,
This will lead to a lot of disputes, a lot of
Team
games
Go Rocket
where the
battles.
outcome is determined
You
because
see
of
all
one of
these
these
issues.
lag
It's
factors.
really bad.
This needs to be fixed. This needs to be addressed. Worlds is coming up so soon, and we don't even know if Niantic is aware
gosh.
or
Look
if
at
they
that
care
lag.
about patching these. We need this to be fixed. We need this to be fixed. How are we supposed to grow this game? How am I supposed to recommend this to anyone when I know for a fact that Niantic isn't respecting our time here, where they are letting us play through this broken game and not fixing these bugs? I love this game. This is my favorite game that I've ever played. It's given me so much. I've won Worlds.
Same
I've
here.
been able to travel the world, make so many friends. This game is amazing. It has so much potential. It can be a pillar of the Play Pokemon franchise along with TCG and BGC. My biggest nightmare is that they take Go away, that it goes the way of Pokken, that it just kind of gets removed from the competitive circuit. I don't want to see that happen.
Could happen.
Niantic, please take Pokemon
No
Go
one
PvP
takes PvP
seriously.
seriously.
There is a dedicated community. We can grow this scene. We just need to make sure that the game actually works in the first place here. I've seen so many of my friends, fellow
Oh, that's a huge point. I'm really glad he brought up Pokken Tournament because that was a game that had so much potential. And it completely fell by the wayside because there were a lot of issues with it and they just did nothing with it. Pokemon Go is falling that way. Years from now, like, people will just think back at Pokemon Go PvP and just, it really will depend on what Niantic does. But if Niantic does nothing, people will look back and say, wow, that was a huge missed opportunity. I really do think Niantic needs to make this a high priority issue. There is a lot of potential that they're missing out on. Oh, and I muted
of
it.
the fact that it's so broken. There's been bugs that have been long-standing that have not been fixed, and people have just gotten sick of it. It makes me so sad to see people like Throw Technical step down from the game, not make as much content as they used to. And then some of the best played Pokemon competitors, the scene, it does see growth, but there's a lot of the best battlers out there that have already retired from the game because the issues here are not getting fixed. Going to a regional, having something out of your control due to lag impact a game, I personally have been very affected by that in the past. It is one of the most frustrating experiences out there. People pay good money to go to these events. They're not cheap, and people take these events so seriously. This is very important to people, and if you have to go to these events and lose games to lag or lose games to things outside of your control because of this, it is so frustrating. I've met so many competitors, not just myself, who have...
Yeah, so this is really bad, honestly. I personally would be a lot more passionate about Pokemon Go's PvP system. I would actually care about it a lot more if it wasn't in such a buggy, broken mess. Like, it's impossible for me to enjoy PvP, specifically because of all of these issues. It's not playable. It simply is not. Like, I'm not saying it has to be a pitch perfect system, but at the very least, it has to be a system that is playable. And yeah, as of right now, it's basically just a grind for rare candies and Stardust, and that's really all it's good for. So yeah, this is really dire. I really do think this is something Niantic needs to take high priority with, but it's really unfortunate because I've been saying that for the past, I want to say 3 to 4 years, and nothing has been done. Absolutely nothing has been done. So Niantic, if you happen to be watching this video, dedicate all of your resources to this stuff. We don't need new content. We don't need a bunch of new stuff in Pokemon Go. If you took a couple of months, not focus on a lot of stuff like party play and what have you, routes, all these features that no one's asking for, if you just dedicated those resources to fixing what's already there, the game would be in a much better place. The game would be in a much better state, and a lot more players would be more actively engaging with a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I really hope something changes. PvP is definitely something that I personally would like to actually do more, but yeah, because Niantic has neglected it for so long, I just feel like there's just not a lot of hope there. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this video. I would like to know your thoughts regarding PvP down below. I know I didn't finish the video, but you could definitely go and check it out yourself. I'll put a link to it down below. Big thank you to ItsAXN. I think that's how you pronounce it. Is it AXN? ItsAXN? ItsAXN? Asian? He's not Asian, so I wouldn't say that. But yeah, big shout out to you. Thank you for making this video. Thank you for bringing a lot of these issues to light. And I really do hope Niantic listens to you because, yeah, as the world champion, I feel like you have a lot to say. So yeah, make sure you go and check out the video. Again, I'll put it in the description below. It's definitely worth a watch. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a shout out to all my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Content Solo channel, make sure you go and check out my Patreon. That's going to be the best way you could support me. And if you become a Patreon member, you get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So when it comes to remote raids and the friendship system, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a different way, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.
Jinsula